Okay. So, okay. Just start reading or what? Okay. Okay. North wind and the sun. Okay. The north wind and the sun were disputing which was the stronger. When a traveler came along, wrapped in a warm cloak, they agreed that the one who first succeeded in making the traveler take his cloak off should be considered stronger than the other. Then the north wind blew as hard as he could, but the more he blew, the more closely did the traveler fold his cloak around him. And at last the north wind gave up the attempt. Then the sun shined out warmly, and immediately the traveler took off his cloak. And so the north wind was obliged to confess that the sun was the stronger of the two. Okay, continue. Okay, Mount Agong eruption. SIA, Scoot gives passengers 18-hour travel option back to Singapore. Okay. Singapore Airlines and Scoot also announced that flights between Bali and Singapore will be cancelled on November 29. A flight from Bali to Singapore usually takes 2.5 hours, but for some Singapore Airlines and Scoot passengers stranded in the Indonesian resort island, making their way home could come in the form of an 18-hour journey by bus, boat and plane. This is one option being offered by the airlines as Bali Depensar Airport remained closed for a second day on Tuesday, November 28, due to ash from the eruption of the island's Mount Agong volcano. Indonesia's Transportation Ministry had said in the statement that aircraft flight channels are covered with volcanic ash. In a Facebook update at 12:30 p.m., Scoot said it has managed to charter coaches to transport its passengers overland from Bali to Surabaya, about 13 hours drive away, where they can then take Scoot flights back to Singapore, including a ferry crossing. The journey will take about 18 hours, said the low-cost carrier. Unless otherwise stated, coaches from tomorrow onwards will depart at 10 a.m. local time, said the airline, adding that those who want to take up this option should go to Scoot's counters at the Bensar Airport by 9 a.m. We seek passengers understanding that the seats on the coaches are limited and Scoot reserve the right to prioritise passengers with needs. Scoot added it would stop selling tickets to and from Bali for the travel period up to December 4th. On Tuesday evening, SIA posted a similar update on its Facebook page offering its customers an 18-hour journey from Bali to Surabaya. Customers will need to be at the Pensa Bali Airport at 6 o'clock. Due to limited seats, customers are encouraged to proceed to the airport only if they receive a confirmation email from Singapore Airlines. SIA had said earlier that passengers can reroute their original Bali-bound flights to other Southeast Asian destinations within the same cabin class, subject to seat availability. Singaporeans return home. Three Singaporeans who took the long way back over fears of a worsening situation in Bali arrived in Singapore on Tuesday. Sejel Danami, Jeanette Chua and Dinesh Kumar, all 18 years old, were part of a group of 13 who were on the resort island for their graduation trip. On Tuesday, the trio were back in Changi Airport after taking a 13-hour bus ride to Surabaya, then hopping on a Scoot flight to Singapore. Speaking to Channel News Asia, Sejel said her parents were watching the developing situation in Bali and had started to make arrangements even before their scheduled Scoot flight was cancelled. Scoot had been cancelled, but many other airlines were starting to cancel their flights. So that's when we knew that the situation may worsen. My parents figured out that either taking an earlier flight or taking an earlier journey to Surabaya would be possible to take a flight from there. She added that while in Bali, they had also been monitoring the situation closely. A group of us had registered with MFA, so we were getting regular notifications about the situation there. The area we were in wasn't directly affected by the ash, but we did not want to take the precautionary measures eh, so wouldn't be stuck there. Meanwhile, Jeanette, who had not made prior arrangement to leave the island, said she wasted no time in deciding to leave with Sijel. For me, it was a decision I made in 10 minutes when I heard that my friend was planning to get a ride to Surabaya. Jeanette and Sejel shared that Scoot has contacted them with offers for a refund on their tickets, which they said they would be claiming. The trio said they are still worried about how the rest of their friends who opted to wait it out are getting back. It's been a pretty crazy experience, but it's something that I have learned from to be alert and always have a backup plan. And now I just hope that the rest of my friends on this trip get back safely and soon, Sejal added. Flight cancellations for a third day. The closure of Bali's international airport looks set to extend beyond Tuesday, with Scoot and Singapore Airlines announcing flight cancellation on Wednesday, November 29, as well the third day running. Indonesia's Transport Ministry had said earlier that the airport closure was due to end at 7 a.m. local time on November 29. Local authorities have also been helping to shuttle tourists to Surabaya to catch the flights out of the country. The head of Bali's transportation agency said earlier on Tuesday that they were preparing 10 buses, with the possibility of moving more vehicles being provided. Mount Agung began spewing smoke and ash last week, but the authorities fear a major eruption is imminent. If that happens, flight disruption in and out of Bali could extend for some time, according to Mr. Abbas Ismail, course manager of Temasek Polytechnic, Diploma in Aviation Management and Services. Amid the uncertainty, Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs has urged Singaporeans to postpone travel plans to Bali. Those stranded in Bali will receive consular assistance, and MFA officers are currently deployed at Bali to help those affected. Okay. My grandmother's village, your ghost story. Wow. This story takes place when I went to my grandmother's house, Kota Tinggi, Semenchu, at Malaysia. It was a December holiday, so my family and I make plans to go to my grandmother's place since we never been there for quite long. My siblings and I were excited to go to the kampong village, so uh, we going to stay there for 3 nights, 3 days and 2 nights. At first, my mom disagreed because she was pregnant to my little sister, but at least she agreed to it. When we reached there, it was very peaceful place in the day. Hearing birds singing, seeing monkey jumping tree to tree, it was really wonderful. But it but in the night time, it was really terrifying. So here's the story. On the first night, I really can't sleep due to excitement, so I was the last person to sleep. Before I went to sleep, I was playing a game on my phone. You know, village doesn't have internet or Wi-Fi, right? Okay, so I was playing games. Then suddenly, I heard something knocking on the front door at 12 a.m. in the morning. I was wondering who might it be. So I get up from the bed and walk toward the front door. When I was about to open, my grandmother stopped me and said, "Don't open the door. You might let them in the house." I was curious what let them in. So I went back to bed, and I was thinking, what did my grandmother mean by that? I was still awake at 1:30 a.m. in the morning while I was trying to figure out what my grandmother is trying to say. I heard someone calling my name from outside of the window. I was really curious who would call my name in the middle of the night. Because my parents have fallen asleep, same goes to my sibling. I still heard someone calling my name, but I ignored it. So I continued playing my games. Then suddenly I heard someone trying to open the window by knocking out or hitting the window. Then my grandmother came in my room and she warned me again not to open the window. She come close the window and read some verse from the Quran. Then the sound of knocking and hitting of the window just stopped just like that. Then my grandmother asked me to sleep, and she said that it's not good for a young lady to sleep late at night. So I fell asleep in 20 minutes. The next morning I was curious about last night, so I went up my grandmother and asked her what was that last night. She says it's a penanggal. The penanggal is a detached female head capable of flying about on its own. As it flies, the stomach and entrails dangle below it, and these organs twinkle like fireflies as the penanggal moves through the night. The penanggal is usually a female midwife who has made a pact with the devil to gain supernatural powers. It is said that the midwife has broken a stipulation in the pact not to eat meat for 40 days. Having broken the pact, she has been forever cursed to become a blood-sucking vampire or demon. The midwife keeps a vat of vinegar in house. A detaching After detaching her head and flying around in the night looking for blood, the penanggal Lan will come home and immerse her trails in the vat of vinegar in order to shrink them for ease entry back into her body. The penanggal's victims are traditionally pregnant women and young children. The penanggal perches on the roofs of houses where women are in labor, screeching when the child is born. That's the reason why the penanggal want to go inside of the house. Wah.